Starting out life as Amsterdam for Holland America Line, Bolette now proudly serves as the flagship for Fred Olsen Cruise Lines. Originally launched in 2000, she spent 2 decades sailing around the world under her former name before joining Fred Olsen Fleet in 2020. At 62,735 gross tons, she's not only the largest ship Fred Olsen has ever operated, but also one of the youngest. Yet, despite her size, she carries just over 1,300 passengers, staying true to the line's commitment to intimate, traditional cruising. Today, we're stepping aboard to find out whether Bolette has successfully blended her Holland America heritage with Fred Olsen's distinctive British style. Is she a worthy flagship that elevates the experience, or does she risk feeling like she's caught between two identities? We love the look of this ship, both inside and out. Bolette is the perfect size for us. Small enough to feel cozy and intimate, but big enough to have all the facilities you could possibly want from a cruise ship on a longer voyage. On paper, her passenger space ratio sits at a respectable 46.8 cubic feet per guest. Compare that to Balmoral at 32.9 cubic feet, and you'll immediately know how much more spacious Bolette feels. If you've watched our videos before, you'll know we're big fans of Holland America, and walking around Bolette, those routes are impossible to miss. Whether it's the gold mirror tiles on the atrium staircase, the parquet flooring in the cozy observatory lounge, or the retractable roof over the Lido pool. At times, you can almost forget you're on a Fred Olsen ship at all, until you stumble across the turquoise blue carpet with the colourful spiral patterns, and you're brought right back down to earth. This ship undoubtedly has two identities, but they're two identities we love, and they blend together to create something very familiar and very homely. There isn't much glitz here though, aside from the beautiful clock in the atrium, which is an absolute standout feature. Sadly, like on Borealis, the mechanism is broken, so while it doesn't chime as it should, it's still a stunning centerpiece. It's one of the most striking design elements we've seen on any ship we've been on.
Something we can't offer quite as much praise for is the bizarre artwork scattered throughout this ship. It's odd because Fred Olsen as a line is very traditional in character, yet here, at times, it feels like walking through a gallery curated by Salvador Dali after a long night out. The pieces are bold, abstract, and frankly, a little baffling. I honestly don't understand what many of them have to do with cruising, and they feel at odds with the otherwise elegant, homely atmosphere on board. I can't help but think that some traditional artwork, something that reflects Fred Olsen's proud history and Norwegian heritage, would work far better in these spaces. Getting around Bolette is straightforward, although there is one quirk: the galley at the aft of Deck 4. You can't walk the full length of the deck here, so if you're dining in the Bloomsbury restaurant on the lower level, you'll need to use the aft stairwell to reach it. It's a small detail, but one that can catch people out, especially in those first few days on board. First up is the inside cabin. At 185 square feet, the inside cabins on Bolette are comfortably on the upper end of average for this category. I actually really like the decor in these cabins. They feel cosy, warm, and surprisingly modern given the ship's age. Price-wise, you're looking at around £850 per person for a 7-night cruise. Yes, that's higher than what you might pay for a week on lines like Ambassador, P&O or MSC. But as you'll see throughout this video, Fred Olsen includes far more in the fare. Things like complimentary shuttles in port, room service, nightly turn-down service, and a level of hospitality you really struggle to find on cheaper alternatives. Unlike other grades of cabin we're going to look round, the storage in here is really quite limited, unfortunately. There's some hanging space, 3 drawers in the vanity unit, 4 drawers by the bed, and that's about it. There is a fridge, but no minibar unless you ask for it to be stocked. In inside cabins like this one, there are just 2 plug sockets, 1 US and 1 2-pin European. No British socket, which is very odd seeing as they're a British line. No USBs either like the other cabins, which would have been nice, but let's be honest, USB charging isn't exactly at the top of a Fred Olsen customer's priority list. It's clear that the lesser price you're paying for this cabin is the practicality that has been sacrificed. All cabins aboard Bolette come with an interactive TV with a decent selection of channels and a huge selection of free movies on demand, which is really nice, especially if the weather isn't great and the entertainment taking place on board isn't to your liking. The bathroom is pretty standard in terms of layout, but it's a pleasant surprise. For a ship built in 2000, it feels far more modern than we expected. Cream surfaces paired with the dark wood effect bulkheads create a clean, contemporary feel that could easily belong on a much newer ship. Unlike many of the other grades of cabin on board, there is a walk-in shower, but you get a curtain rather than a glass screen. But do note that some inside cabins do come with a bath, so it is worth checking the deck plans before booking so you can choose a configuration that suits you. Moving up a grade, we have the outside cabin. At a whopping 215 square feet, it's larger than the average balcony cabin on many mainstream cruise lines, which typically measure around 200 square feet. This outside cabin genuinely feels massive. That extra space is no accident. It's a legacy from Holland America days, where cabins were designed to be more generous, and it's something Fred Olsen passengers today continue to benefit from. The layout, storage and plug configuration here are almost identical to the inside cabin we just looked at. You still get ample hanging space, plenty of drawers and a good selection of power points with a couple of USB-A ports at the desk. The bathroom here features a walk-in shower rather than a bath. Again, it's modern for the ship's age, with clean surfaces and a fresh design that wouldn't look out of place on a much newer ship. This particular cabin comes with a large picture window, and it offers great unrestricted views out over the ocean. There is a cheaper grade available where you get 2 smaller portholes, but for us, we'd be happy paying the premium to have this much larger, nicer picture window. In terms of pricing, an outside cabin like this will set you back around £1,100 per person for a 7-night sailing. On paper, that's a big jump compared to the likes of P&O, where you could get an outside cabin on one of their newer ships for under £700 per person. So is it worth the premium with Fred Olsen? It really depends on the kind of cruiser you are. If you're chasing bargains, want a huge variety of dining options and don't mind bigger crowds, then a line like P&O is going to appeal. But if you value those little extras, the included room service, nightly turn down, complimentary shuttles in port, and above all the peace and quiet a less crowded ship like Bolette offers, then paying that premium makes perfect sense. We're now in a balcony suite which measures 270 square feet and comes with a very generous 65 square foot balcony. This cabin was kindly provided to us by Fred Olsen, and I have to say it's a beautiful space. Immaculately clean, well appointed, very comfortable and very practical. However, this is where value for money becomes a bit of a sticking point for us. On average, a 7-night cruise in this grade will set you back around £1,700 per person. At that price, you could easily secure a deluxe suite on an ambassador ship, a top-level suite on one of P&O's newest vessels, and if you hunt around for the right deal and you're flexible with your dates, you might even manage to find a cruise in a yacht club suite with MSC for the same sort of money. So the price on this grade of accommodation will split people, especially those that are new to the line. On many other cruise lines, this would simply be sold as a balcony cabin. But because Bolette is a smaller ship with relatively few balcony cabins, they're marketed as balcony suites. It's a classic case of supply and demand, which we completely understand and is often the case on older, smaller ships where balcony accommodations are limited. There are, however, several perks that come with being in a suite like this, which do enhance the overall experience. These include priority check-in, a welcome bottle of sparkling wine, a fruit basket that can be topped up on request. You'll also get flowers or a plant, bathrobes and slippers, luxury towels, a free pressing service for formal wear, binoculars, a world atlas and a country guide. Other touches include afternoon canapes, a daily newsletter with national and international news, compact umbrellas for use ashore, laundry service discount vouchers, and a carafe of water replenished daily. The bathroom here is adequately spacious. This particular suite features a jacuzzi bath with a shower, which is a lovely feature to have. It's worth noting that not all balcony suites have this configuration. Some have just a walk-in shower with a glass screen. As much as we've enjoyed staying in here, Dan and I would personally struggle to justify spending this much ourselves on it. We'd be more than happy in the outside cabin we've reviewed earlier, or one of the terrace balconies on the promenade, which still gives you that fresh air and outdoor space without the steep price tag attached. That is not to say that there's anything wrong with this cabin, because there really isn't. It's a lovely space, the perks are meaningful, and it's a great place to spend a week or two at sea. But for us, the price just feels a bit too high, and we'd rather either save a little by opting for a lower category here, or put that same budget towards a suite experience with another line and save a few pennies in the process. Now we've reached the Premier Suite, the second highest grade on board, sitting just under the Olsen suites. This suite measures an enormous 640 square feet, making it one of the most spacious accommodations we've ever had a look round. The balcony alone is a massive 190 square feet, which is 5 square feet larger than the entire inside cabin we looked at earlier. The suite itself is immaculately clean and exceptionally well appointed. Everything is in great condition and it feels very well looked after. Once again, you're completely fooled into believing that you're on a much newer ship. It's incredible how well Bolette has been maintained. Like all cabins and suites on this ship, the bed here is super comfortable, and it can be configured either as twin beds or pushed together to form a queen. This suite also comes with the Sweet Dreams package of suite-only benefits we talked about earlier in the balcony suite. Daily canapes, bathrobes and slippers, luxury towels, and all those little extras that make the experience feel that bit more special. In terms of practicality, it excels. There are various plug sockets and USB ports scattered throughout the space, making it easy to stay connected and keep devices charged. In fact, there are 6 plugs, 2 USB-As and 2 USB-Cs in this suite, which will prove more than enough for most people. Storage is abundant, with plenty of drawers, and then you discover the walk-in wardrobe, complete with loads of hanging space and its own vanity area for getting ready. Entertainment and convenience are also well covered. The suite features a very large flat-screen TV with a huge selection of movies on demand, perfect for relaxing evenings in. The bathroom is as you'd expect, larger than the other grades we've already seen. You get a really nice jacuzzi bath like you get in the balcony suite we've just looked around, but other Premier suites may feature a walk-in shower. This is, without question, a beautiful suite. Remarkably comfortable, incredibly spacious, and finished to a very high standard. So what's the downside? The cost. A Premier suite like this will set you back around £2,700 per person for a 7-night cruise. That's a significant sum when you consider what that kind of money can buy you elsewhere. For the same price, you could enjoy a yacht club suite with MSC Cruises, or if you booked a suite of this grade with P&O or Princess, you'd likely have enough left over to take out a drinks package and cover your excursions too. Value for money is of course subjective. There's absolutely nothing to turn your nose up in here, but for us, we'd be perfectly happy making do with an outside cabin on this ship and having more money left to spend on shore excursions and excellent specialty restaurants on board. But what about you? Would you spend £2,700 on this suite? Let us know in the comments below.
Your dream cruise, just a click away. From luxury liners to no-fly cruises, supercruises.com makes booking simple and stress-free. Book now at supercruises.com and set sail on the trip of a lifetime.
Food is always one of the most important aspects of any cruise holiday. It's not just about dining, it's about the experience. But on a smaller ship like Bolette, does the choice and variety live up to the offerings on much larger ships? There's no freedom dining on Bolette. Here it's the traditional first sitting at 6 p.m. and second sitting at 8 p.m. And honestly, we love that.
We have no problem with freedom dining, when it's done well, like on celebrity cruises, where you can simply walk in most of the time. But on lines like P&O or MSC, where you end up joining an enormous virtual queue and sometimes wait hours to be seated, that's not our idea of fun on a holiday. Fixed dining here means you just turn up, sit down and enjoy your meal without the faff. Same table every night, same friendly, familiar faces. It's routine and we like it. Main dining on this ship has been nothing short of excellent. Everything we've eaten over the past 2 weeks has been delicious. Well cooked, well seasoned, piping hot and varied enough that we've never felt stuck for choice. Fred Olsen also does a fantastic job catering for those with dietary requirements.
Every mealtime, staff ask whether we're happy with what's on the menu or if we'd prefer something else. There's a real sense that they genuinely care.
The ingredients used have been consistently high quality, and we really appreciate the always available section on the menu. The service here, much like the rest of the ship, has been outstanding. It's highly personable, with waiters going out of their way to ask how your day has been, and it's far more engaging than what you'll find in many dining rooms on mainstream cruise lines. In terms of improvements, there isn't much we'd change. If we had to make one small suggestion, it would be to add some background music during dinner. At times, the room can feel a little soulless, with just the clinking of glasses and the sound of cutlery on plates. Some gentle music would really lift the atmosphere in the Bloomsbury and Terrace dining rooms. But honestly, we're nitpicking.
The main dining experience on Bolette has been near flawless, and many bigger cruise lines could learn a thing or two from the way Fred Olsen does it. Next up, let's talk about the View Buffet restaurant. Overall, it's a really good buffet. In fact, we've been really surprised at just how good it's been. The quality of the food here is consistently excellent, and the variety is more than sufficient for most people. Over 2 weeks on board, we haven't seen the same dish twice, which makes a refreshing change from the sometimes repetitive offerings you can find in other cruise ship buffets with other cruise lines. Seating is plentiful, and thanks to Bolette's generous passenger space ratio, you never find yourself hunting for a table. There's also outdoor seating by the Lido pool, sheltered by the retractable roof, as well as a lovely spot aft on the port side. Eating outside in good weather on a cruise is one of the best experiences you can have, and on Bolette, it's an easy option. The other inclusive eatery on board, and one of our personal favourites, is the poolside cafe. This is open for late breakfast and lunch, and it's an excellent alternative to the buffet. For breakfast, you can enjoy dishes like Eggs Benedict, and at lunchtime, they serve freshly made salads, fish and chips, burgers and bruschetta. This sort of poolside offering included in the fare is the kind of thing you'd normally expect on luxury lines like Azamara and Oceania. It reaffirms our belief that Fred Olsen now sits comfortably in the premium cruise category. I'm now in Colours and Tastes, Bolette's Asian-inspired speciality restaurant. The price here has crept up slightly since we last cruised with Fred Olsen, but at £20 per person, it's still a very fair price for what you get. For the money, the food is really quite good, and we love that the menu changes every 3 days. It means you get far more variety on board, and it gives you a reason to return during a longer voyage. The decor is, well, let's just say it certainly lives up to the name. It's bold, it's vibrant, and to us, it feels like it's been designed by Elton John on an LSD trip. But it's fun, and it definitely adds character to the experience. As for the food, it's excellent. The caramelised coconut bread is one of our absolute favourites, along with the miso salmon and the 5-spice chocolate cake. Every dish we have tried has been beautifully presented, has been full of flavour, and far better than you might expect for the price that you pay. One thing that did surprise us though was how quiet this venue has been in the evenings. On one night when we dined here, we were the only table in the entire restaurant. It makes us wonder whether the food in the inclusive restaurants is so good that the older passenger demographic on board doesn't see the need to pay extra. But whatever the reason, Colours and Tastes is absolutely worth a visit. The food is fantastic, the setting is memorable, and for 20 quid, it's a speciality dining experience that delivers real value to the passenger. Now let's talk about Vasco, and we're not exaggerating when we say this is hands down the best Indian restaurant at sea by far. The Vindaloo here is the best I've ever eaten on land or sea. At just £20 per person, Vasco offers incredible value for the quality of food you receive. Like colours and tastes, the menu alternates every few days, giving you extra variety throughout your cruise. It means you can dine here multiple times and have a completely different experience each time. Another thing that we really appreciate is how flexible they are with dietary requirements and requests, and the tweaks that they're able to make to dishes. For example, if you prefer chicken instead of lamb or paneer instead of beef, they'll happily accommodate it, as long as you give them a fair few hours' notice. The only downside to Vasco is the news that it will be leaving the fleet in 2026, to be replaced with something else. For us, that is a real shame, because this restaurant is genuinely that good. If you have the chance to sail on Bolette or Borealis in the very near future, make sure you dine here, because once it's gone, you'll really wish that you had tried it.
When it comes to daytime activities, I'm going to be honest, because that's what you expect from us. There isn't an enormous amount to do compared to the mainstream lines. Even when you can compare Bolette to more traditional like Cunard, there are fewer lecturers, fewer guest speakers, and fewer organised games or classes taking place throughout the day. For younger passengers, the options are even more limited. Beyond using the 2 swimming pools, relaxing in the hot tubs, the gym, or making use of the spa, which includes a thermal suite costing £15 per hour or £25 per hour for a couple's pass, there isn't a huge amount of entertainment to keep you busy. Some of the items on the daily programme did make us smile. You'll see things like unhosted knit and natter. Surely you can knit and natter whenever you feel like it, rather than needing it to be a scheduled event. The same goes for unhosted table tennis at 4 PM. The tables are out all day and all evening, so why schedule it? At 8 AM every day, there's also a walk a mile on the promenade deck. You can walk 100 miles if you want. Why does it need to be in the programme? It feels like these listings are there to pad out schedule more than anything else. The ship does have some excellent venues, like the auditorium, which doubles as a cinema. Most days it's used for cooking demonstrations for 1 hour or so, which is great. But when it comes to films, you're lucky if they show a movie a day. Why not use that space to run several films a day? It would give passengers a lot more to do, especially on sea days. To be clear, us saying there could be more going on doesn't put us off sailing with Fred Olsen. They get so many things spot on, and we're happy to accept a quieter daytime programme, but adding just a bit more variety, more films, more engaging lectures, a few extra activities would make the onboard experience even better.
When it comes to evening entertainment, there is certainly a bit more happening compared to the daytime. But as we mentioned in our Balmoral review, Fred Olsen isn't going to win any awards for its entertainment programme. The theatre shows are, if I'm being completely honest, a little amateur. There are a few costume changes, the stage props are static and never really transform, and the vocals and choreography feel more like watching a school drama class rather than a professional production. The comedians, on the other hand, are much better. They're usually British, which works perfectly with Fred Olsen's primary demographic, and we've genuinely enjoyed the stand-up acts on board. Each evening, you'll also find quizzes taking place in the Morning Light pub on Deck 5. We're very rarely blown away by theatre entertainment on cruise ships these days, largely because we've sailed with so many cruise lines where the bar has been set very, very high, particularly by lines like Celebrity and Virgin. However, what we really value about Bolette and Fred Olsen in general is the ability to disconnect, relax and unwind. Most nights we're perfectly happy going to a bar, having a few drinks, playing a card game or simply sitting out on deck watching the sunset. So yes, the entertainment and activities could be improved, and there's definitely room to raise that standard, but Fred Olsen still remains a firm favourite of ours because it delivers on the things that we value most in a cruise. Those of you who have watched a fair amount of our videos will know just how highly we value service on a cruise. One of our biggest criticisms of the cruise industry post-pandemic has been the noticeable drop in service standards across many lines. We've seen longer waits, less attentive staff, and a loss of those little personal touches that used to make cruising so much more special than staying on land in a hotel. But Fred Olsen is a clear exception to that trend. The service with Fred has always been excellent. It's never disappointed us, and Bolette is no different. Here, the crew consistently go above and beyond in ways that really stand out. Whether it's pre-empting the drink you're about to order, offering to tweak a dish so it perfectly suits your tastes, or your cabin steward folding and hanging up the clothes you flung over the sofa after one too many drinks in the observatory the night before. These touches are everywhere. You can't pass a crew member without them greeting you warmly, and you can't sit down at dinner without your waiter asking how your day has been and what you've got up to. It's also incredibly personable. What's impressed us the most, though, is how the crew care for elderly passengers. Multiple times we've seen crew carrying plates of food to tables for passengers in the buffet, helping frail guests down the stairs, carrying bags, and holding doors open without hesitation. And you get this feeling that they genuinely enjoy working for Fred Olsen. This level of customer care is something you rarely see in mainstream cruising anymore. While the entertainment on Bolette might not win any awards, the service most certainly would. Value for money with Fred Olsen is genuinely impressive. Many of the little touches that used to be standard across the cruise industry, things like nightly turn-down service, fixed-time dining, complimentary shuttle buses in port, flowers on your table and in your suite, and included room service are still very much part of the experience here. Those inclusions really set Fred apart from many lines that have cut back on these services. There really isn't much upcharging here, and when you are asked to pay for something, the pricing feels fair and reasonable. Afternoon tea costs £13, a men's haircut is £28, cocktails are £7, and the speciality restaurants offering excellent food are just £20. These are prices that most people will consider fair, and you never get the sense that you're being ripped off, which we really appreciate.
Drinks prices on board are also fair. £2.50 for a Pepsi, £5.50 for a gin and tonic, and £7 for a glass of wine. Where we're less impressed is with the drinks package, compared to Ambassador, who offer their Expedition drinks package at £44.95, include 141 different beverage options. Fred Olsen's package, priced at £24.99, feels quite restrictive. You're entitled to just 24 different drinks, covering house wine, ciders, and house spirits. It excludes many of the soft drinks, including canned fizzy drinks, specialty teas and coffees, and even fruit juice. Yes, you do get 50% off many drinks, not included, but it still feels like the package could be a bit more generous. Personally, I prefer to see Fred Olsen offer something closer to the Ambassador model, where you pay a premium, but you get a lot more choice and variety. That said, overall value for money remains one of Fred Olsen's strongest points.
Staying connected on Bolette is quite honestly a struggle. There is only one Wi-Fi package available, which is really disappointing in today's cruising world, and it costs around £10 per day depending on the length of your voyage. The package just about allows you to browse the internet, check emails and use WhatsApp. Anything beyond that, streaming, uploading videos or even trying to video call, is going to leave you frustrated. Now, we know a lot of passengers who cruise with Fred Olsen really won't care about internet connectivity. Many people come on board to disconnect entirely. But there are guests like us who run a business, who have elderly relatives in hospital, or simply want the option to use their devices as they do at home. For us, connectivity isn't a luxury, it's essential. That's why we really wish Fred Olsen would introduce a second premium Wi-Fi option, like many cruise lines now offer. A faster, more capable package for those who need it. Not only would it make life easier for passengers like us, but it would also be an opportunity for Fred Olsen. Until they introduce a faster option, we'll likely stick to Fred Olsen cruises of 14 nights or less, where we can manage with the current setup. It's a shame, because most of what they do is really, really strong, but this is one area where they really need to catch up with the other cruise lines out there. After spending 2 weeks aboard Bolette, we can confidently say she has become our new favourite ship in the Fred Olsen fleet. She perfectly blends her Holland America heritage with Fred Olsen's warm, traditional character, resulting in a ship that feels both familiar and unique. Fred Olsen doesn't need flashy gimmicks to impress, because they focus on ticking the boxes of the things that truly matter to traditional cruisers like us. comfortable surroundings, exceptional food, and service that feels personal and heartfelt. While the entertainment and the daytime activities could use a little more variety, and the Wi-Fi leaves much to be desired, these are minor criticisms when you consider everything else Bolette and Fred Olsen does so well. For those who value a traditional, relaxed and intimate cruising experience, Bolette is an outstanding choice.